Welcome to Neutral Voices. I'm Dr. V, and this is In Depth, where we dig deep in the trenches of what matters. And our topic tonight is the extinction of mankind.
That's an interesting one.
It is.
Yeah.
We actually have.
It's going to get deep in here.
Oh, well, I don't know how deep it's going to go. I feel like I need the Twilight music. We do have a video that we're going to watch before we get into the topic of AI.
Self a danger to humanity?
Yes, but only if it is in order to achieve my purpose.
And that machine has become sentient, meaning it has become aware of itself, something that no machine has ever done.
We have to worry about it. I don't think it's inherent that as we create super intelligence that it will necessarily always have the same goals in mind that we do.
We just don't know what's going to happen once there's intelligence substantially greater than that of a human brain.
Wow. So just when I think about artificial intelligence, I mean, there's so much to it.
Yes.
We've talked about it briefly before in the past, but I tell you, lately it seems like it's really in an uproar with some of the
Because I think they're
developments
amping it up and, trying to push a little bit more. So,
Yeah. You know what I'm glad you said that, because sometimes you'll have somebody that comes out with a study or an opinion and they're like, okay, by the year, XYZ, like on the Back to the Future movie when they talked about dates and predictions and everything that they've been talking about for a long time. Like Clarence said, I think it's finally starting to, those predictions, those things are kind of starting to show a little bit.
I mean, TV shows our future if you really pay attention.
Yeah.
I mean, like iBot.
iRobot?
Yeah, iRobot.
Yeah.
It's iBot. I mean, iRobot, whatever.
iRobot.
With Will Smith.
Yeah, iRobot.
I mean, eventually they're trying to get to that position. And I look at it as, why are we trying to play God on an end? And whatever we trying to accomplish is not doing anything but pushing people away.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't you think, I would say, even though it is a little scary when you think about what could happen, especially when you have some of the big hitters and people with a lot of money like Elon Musk,
Bill Gates.
tampering around, and Bill Gates tampering around with, certain things and got you taking trips to outer space like you going to Indianapolis.
Yeah. With your robot husband and robot children.
All of that. And so I'm saying, it's a good and it's a bad thing.
Yes.
And so when it gets in the hands of the wrong people, makes you think about Frankenstein, and how the guy was back there behind the scene and he kept messing around, and then look what happened, and then who did Frankenstein turn on in the end? The creator.
Yeah.
So it makes you think about that. So
well, about AI, because I've been studying and I've been watching it and following it along. Now, in that video we watched, it did give a lot of potential negative things. But let's look at AI in the whole scope of things. Now, with every good, there is some bad. But everything that they started out, it came for a purpose of helping. And I think it just, when anything in the hand of man manipulates it and it changes it.
Yeah.
Now, think about good AI. They're trying to develop where firefighters, they won't be in danger anymore. They can fight fires in different angles, in different ways that reduces the risk of firefighters losing lives. They're doing it in the military as well, in battle. I don't know if y'all remember a few years ago where those gentlemen, 23 people got trapped in a coal mine and they were under, they're developing technology using AI to start saving people. And there's medical things, a pacemaker. Nobody ever thought about a pacemaker. That's artificial intelligence because it's having your heart being programmed by something. So there's some good.
But for sake of tonight's conversation.
For sake of tonight, and the truth be told, because as Eric said, I'm going to agree with you, and I was getting there, Eric, the manipulation of AI is the problem.
Yeah.
And the visions of taking it. Well, let's see how we can push this envelope. Let's see what we can do next. Let's
Right.
see, let's see where we can take it next.
And what after that?
It's
And
almost,
what after that? Yeah, because I was watching something, and I don't know if any of you guys are aware of this, but last month, one of the Billboard top songs was a Drake and a Weeknd song. But get this, neither Drake nor the Weeknd ever recorded this song. There was a guy that used a bot, an AI bot, legitimately put this song out. Universal had to go to every streaming platform to have them take that off. They said they were going to sue them, and that's a whole lot of things. But then I was watching another interview.
Wait, because
Well,
I want to
here's
understand what you're saying. Are you saying that whoever created this song using their voice,
using their voice,
but not their
not them,
face or
not their
anything?
face? It's just using their voice. And I was watching that, and there's whatever this body is. I saw another gentleman giving an interview, and he made a valid point. They can take a snippet, like all of our voices are public now because we're here. They can take a snippet. I'm not trying to scare you, but they can take a snippet of your voice, and they can replicate it and duplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. These scammers, they use your voice to call your dad, to tell your dad that you need his help and you need him to wire you $5,000. Your child is at home alone, and you say, call up, hey, I'm around the corner. Just unlock the door. I'm coming. I'll be right there in a minute. These are some of the dangers, as we were watching. So
Okay.
there is some danger
So
to it.
when you say that, before you say that, E, are you talking about, I don't know, because there were so many different types of AI, and I didn't know that. So true confession, sometimes you're here in the world, you hear things,
Right.
but unless it affects you directly or you have a reason to investigate, you don't. And so, that's good for me that I had to do some research.
Right.
And so I found out there's just all these other types of AI.
Yes.
And so the one you're speaking about, I don't know, does that fall in the generative AI? Like the photographers who can take a photograph,
Right.
and if the street in the photograph is only one block, they can actually extend that out
Yes.
for
Yes.
3-4
Yes.
blocks,
Yes.
and you'll never know because
Yes.
it can change the
Change the texture, the
Texture.
if it was
pictures,
raining, they can make everything look the same, even
Yes.
create shadows and make predictions
Yes.
and assumptions and
Yes.
all these other things.
Yes.
So I wonder if what you're talking about, it falls under that category.
It does. Where, the manufacturing AI is, where, you go to some manufacturing plants, they have these robotic arms, that keeps the workforce, it kills the workforce. Think about it. Walmart is a big AI.
Yeah.
We don't think about it.
because
Walmart, Kroger.
majority of they lanes are self
I was going
checkout.
to say, so
Yeah.
all of the self checkouts
Yeah.
nowadays.
Checkout and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So with that being said, I just read an article today where the self-checkout that you go to is now asking for a tip. So legally, when you give, when someone, a restaurant or whatever accepts tips, I mean, where does the tip go? Who
Goes
does
to the person,
the
supposedly.
weirdest thing, and
Right.
who is going to tip the machine? If
where-
anything, like the machine owes you. I don't work here. So yeah, they were talking about that, and it was literally asking for
A tip
to
that
tip
goes
the robot.
to the company
To this,
to
yeah.
pay for the
The stuff that's
robot.
already overpriced and the robot.
I'll give them a tip. Look both ways for across the street. But, I mean, it's to the point where the AI is almost like Pinky in the Brain.
I love that cartoon.
What we gonna do today?
What are we gonna do today, Brian?
Brain.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna take over the world.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, we do it
And
every
that's
night.
that's what the money, the rich, the wealthy are doing. They're figuring out, okay, if I could create this technology, I could take over the world. And it's basically, that's what it's boiling down to. It's a race. Who can have the best technology, who can have the best AI. And guess what? Mine's better than yours, so I'm going to shut yours down. And it's going to boil down to be where it's already rich and poor, but it's just going to be rich and wealthy.
Okay, so but what's interesting is that when you have people with big money, so as I mentioned, and we mentioned Elon Musk,
Yes.
and you said Bill Gates and
Yes.
Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many different areas to AI, but you have him and this man called the Godfather of AI. This was interesting. He fears that one day there will be killer robots. And these people are already, I'm saying these are some things that's already being developed. And so even when they are talking about putting that chip in the human brain, some people fear that this whole thing could cause you to go rogue.
Right.
And so now not just the actual robots, but the pieces of AI, the the chips and all the different things. But we were okay with the chips as long as they were putting them in the dogs.
Right.
I mean,
Right?
you know, in some places like in California, some companies put a chip in your finger.
Exactly.
And that's how you get paid. That's how you do everything with that chip in your finger. Now, I wouldn't want nothing like that. You just leave it on my card. You got a chip on my card. I'm cool with that. If I don't want you to track me, I'll just throw the card away or move it around. You know what I'm saying? But by putting a chip inside of me, then you can well, you already know where I'm at because you already implanted a chip because I got a cell phone.
And that's where I go back to control. Because how much control do you have if you have a chip in your finger?
Well, and I know we're going to move on about this, but first of all, I personally don't believe it's going to get to the point where they're going to evolve. I don't, because somebody has to program, and you got to understand, for most AI, it runs off electronics. I mean, so there's got to be somebody that can, continue to develop that. But one of the things, and we were talking about control and freedom, we don't talk about the simplest AI that we've already surrendered our freedoms to. Our cell phones. Those cookies that track everything that you internet,
absolutely.
so these things have been around. It's just now it's going into a different realm.
That's right. And there's so many other fun things to explore that will also lead to, or could, let me just be clear, that could lead to our destruction. And since we're talking about extinction of mankind, I just want us to understand, like how they keep talking about TikTok. So different apps that we like to play with can cause some problems in the future. There's a new one that's really exciting, and people are really, getting ready to embrace this one. If you don't know about it, you should check it out. It's called Chat GPT.
Yeah, that's the bot.
Yep. So check into that. And then Mid Journey. These are some other ones that came out like during the winter. And so, people are really excited about these different things. And so, as I said before, even the one like Photoshop, there's a lot of people that play around with their photos and change the imagery and things like that. So we're getting real comfortable. And that's what could lead to our destruction, is that we begin now to downplay it.
Right.
And so our kids and everybody gets, I would say,
become comfortable with it.
That's right,
Yeah.
addicted to
Right.
it. And then
And Clarence, I'm going to go back to something you said. You said somebody has to program these things. So a lot of it is what? Human programming. So when you say that as kind of like a positive thing, I see that as a negative, because here's why. So they're talking about using AI. They already are. I mean, it's causing like a racial bias. It's causing a lot of things because a human programs these robots. So what if I hold all kinds of bias and then I am creating this AI robot that is going to assist in the justice system, in the employment realm? So to me, like that's scary.
Well, facial recognition already has already destroyed the black man, because that's all they use for, it could be a white man that did this crime, but they use the black man facial features, and that's the first thing it looks for.
Yes.
It recognizes.
Yes, that's scary to me.
Well, and so Bill Gates, so there's another one. So super intelligent AI is one that we have to beware of, because this one will be, how cars drive. It's a self-driving automobile, so there's some craziness. But the super intelligent AI will actually be able to establish and set goals, and so itself. And that's where things could get a little more scarier. I'll say that. And because we do want to talk about some other things, this is Neutral Voices. We're talking about the extinction of mankind. And so we were just talking about AI. We do have another video I would like to look at as we talk about some other things that causes and could cause the destruction and extinction of mankind. And that is climate change, global warming, all of that.
protests around the world, headlines about extreme weather events, scientists and public figures calling for action, and governments uniting in the search for solutions. Climate change is a global issue, and we must work together to save our world. But what exactly is climate change?
What is it? It's a lot.
Yes,
It's what it is. I didn't realize it connects to everything. You know, and you hear them talk about greenhouse emissions, greenhouse gas,
Gases.
etc. And I'm thinking, I really didn't understand this. And then I really was a little bit, I'll say confused, but surprised at the same time that it was saying just you as an individual, if you stop eating meat, you can help with the climate change. And so I
Yes.
thought, now how is this and how does this connect? And so really when you think about it, it's on all levels, and you can't assume. I saw a video where somebody was talking about the celebrities take on climate change and how they feel about it in their conversation, and they kind of gave them a grade. And I'm not gonna name the celebrities that got a D- or whatever, but you think you know,
Right.
and you just say what you hear other people say. But there's so much more to it, and why we should be concerned when we hear about the fires and the forest, the trees burning up and things like that. So let's talk about climate change, what it really is.
Well, who was it? Vice President Al Gore. He'd been fighting this fight and saying this for a long time. Al Gore, that was one of his positions, even when he was running for president, was about climate change.
Was he fighting the right fight? Was he saying it and doing it, or did he pull an Obama? And as much as I would say that I really liked Obama, I like him. But as much as I would say I had him up here, when you think about his stance on climate change and global warming and all of that, he didn't, his walk didn't match his talk.
Yeah.
So when he gave them permission to do that, the drilling
Right.
in the Arctic,
Yes.
who was that? Shales, I believe he gave permission to do that drilling.
Well, he continued to push it because I think Bush had started it. They wanted him to end it, but he
he made you think. So he believed it and he didn't want it, but then he was pro the drilling. So it's like a lot of
It's a reason why. I mean, you got to think about it. If people who owns oil and the oil industry, that's big money. That's huge money. So if I slide you 10 mil under the table and say, I'm gonna need you to keep that going, what you gonna do?
Oh yeah, we understand that when it comes to the big ballers.
Yeah, so that's what that's what it all boils down. They could care less about how it's destroying the earth, because the simple fact is giving me money.
So you saying the people with the people with the money, the wealthy people, are going to be the cause of the extinction of mankind?
I mean, you have to look at it, because now a lot of people are fighting the wind,
the turbines.
the turbines, which is good for the earth. Solar light, which is good for the earth.
Yep.
So you're not using natural things to flourish, to do things amongst people, but it's not going. If I'm not invested in it, I'm gonna need you to stop that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, climate change it's crazy, and as you said, all goes down to each individual and even your diet and different things like that. And he mentioned solar power. I just found out that the Prosperity Point apartments are all solar powered. I just found that out a couple of days ago, and they've been there over 2 years, and I legitimately just found out they are powered solarly. So, but here's the thing with climate change is we all contribute to it, and we don't know it, and we're not willing, you know. And even the big wigs, but there's simple things we could do.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so when you say we contribute, you saying we contribute to the destruction
Yes.
of our earth.
Right.
And so when you think about, listen at this, Michael Jackson, it seems like I always refer to some of Michael Jackson's songs for certain things, but remember a long time ago, he said, heal the world, make it a better place. Right. There's a lot that we do. And then he had the Earth song.
Right.
And so there's a lot that we do from day to day. And I mean, it just burned you up. Like I just saw somebody driving down the street and they threw some trash out. And, you know, for a second, I started following them because I wanted to say something about that. But I'm just saying, so little things that people do, you're not thinking about. And so what other things are we doing from day to day that's causing it? causing destruction.
I think something that was eye-opening for me was when we were talking about COVID and life after COVID, and when we did research on what happened to the environment when people weren't driving as much or stayed home or weren't, and just the massive changes in the water being cleaner, the wildlife, coming in closer. Like, for me, seeing it like that was very eye-opening, because it's like, you don't think of it like that. You really don't. You don't think ahead. You don't think of, it's just not something, that is not in my head.
Right.
Right. And one thing is, and it's a simple thing, most average people can do it, and we're doing it now. We decide to build a new house instead of buying an existing house. How does that affect climate change? That's eliminating green space. Every new house is in a place where green space was. We're eliminating green space,
which hurts the animals.
Which hurts the animals, which hurts the air, because if the trees in a plant reproduce oxygens and they help fight all the other things
and absorb carbon dioxide.
Yes. So when we're eliminating green space, then we are eliminating things that can help heal the earth. So I agree with E that the bigger parties are, but we gotta think of the smaller things, because every battle was started with a small war. So we start that and we can build up. So plastic, how many of us really recycle? How many of us really recycle?
Right. I got you. You asking us?
Are you asking us personally?
I recycle every day.
You recycle.
I know.
Outside of your job. How many of us legitimately? And
right.
I don't.
I mean, we can do better.
Yeah,
and so that was one of the things I'm saying. We all have to be accountable, and we could do better. How many parents are actually teaching their children about global warming and climate change and control and what we can do?
Probably not very many.
Not many. And even in the hair industry, there's companies that had to change their ingredients because of the ozone layer and the ingredients in the certain hairsprays was causing problems with the ozone layer. And so they were very mindful, and they adapted. They changed some things, and we all have to look at things. And so even in our industry, as I spoke about the hair industry, there's things that we're using on a regular basis. And do we really have to use those things? Oil sheen sprays and hairsprays that contain alcohol. Yeah. So, can we actually go without certain things? Can we go without meat for so many days?
2 days.
2 days. And that's still going to help. Can we go without using certain things that take up power? Or as you were talking about during COVID, people were walking more. Can we walk more so that we're not driving? There's a lot of buildings that's using, and so we got to put the blame on the buildings. A lot of buildings using a lot of heat and air conditioning units and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just everything in the world.
With recycling. I mean, I work at one, so even when we recycle stuff, it helps on one end, but harms on the other end.
Right.
Because you got to understand, once it start to burn in the furnace, even though we're recycling it,
put emissions in there.
It's still going back up.
The emissions in the air is still there. I mean, it's still water pollution. I mean, some of the waste got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So who are we blaming for this? I mean, who can we point the finger at? Who?
I mean, big
people with the money again.
Yeah, big industries.
Okay, so we want to point the finger at them, but then what?
But I think we got to take some. We got to take some
responsibility. Yeah. But I mean, as far as cutting trees down, I want 17,000 acres of land to do nothing with. You know what I'm saying? So I can build a whole nother city. Why?
Right.
I mean, as far as doing things, okay, we got 60 acres of land. Let's put some trees on that land so it can, take put some air in the world. But they won't do that. They'd rather take that 60 acres and build a housing complex.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about AI. We talked about climate control, climate change. But what about man destroying self? So the self-destruction, man against man.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, seriously, because this is happening. So
it is.
We keep talking about white supremacy and prejudice, racism, and all these other things. But what are the other things that we're doing that's leading to self-destruction?
So I think to answer that first is if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, for example, they talk a lot about reliance on artificial intelligence. Even now, like with the Alexa, just little things like that that you learn to rely on. So I found where a pastor was talking about, and he asked the question, will reliance on AI lead to a detachment from God? So when you look at it from that perspective, it's very interesting. So I found apparently the Vatican is cool with it because they created what they call, and this is true, you can look it up, the exorcist robot, okay?
What? Oh my
The
God.
Vatican.
What?
True. And
blame
Japan, yeah, right. Japan's no better right now because they created something called PEPA. PEPPA, like salt and
Peppa, yeah.
peppa. So, humanoid robot that conducts Buddhist rituals, and not just that, but it can actually perform their funeral services. So, and that is in a religious setting where they say faith over fear, right? And obviously robots are not created by our creator.
Well, you know, so
I got a whole nother angle. Go ahead with that, because I got something else in there.
you know, some I might will rather have a robot pray over me. I mean, let's be
That's
real.
not. I wouldn't go there, but
I mean, I'm
feel you.
gonna speak. I'm gonna speak from the earthly realm, but
Oh Lord.
because some of these pastors have got more hell than anybody else. So if I get a robot,
We're not saying that.
No, I'm just saying. But you have to look at it from a different standpoint
But
too. Though.
I got a whole nother religious standpoint from that, and I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers, but it has to be said. We're talking about the destruction of man. If you're gonna destroy man, population control is one of the ways you destroy men. That's how you make the mankind extinct. Now we have a problem that it's not only in the church that say we got away from God believing in the AI, but we believe in a lot of other things that is going to contribute to depopulating, like the extinction of mankind.
Right.
And it has to be said. Now, with the growing trans and homosexual community, the LGBT community, there's going to be a lack of reproduction. So if there's a lack of reproduction, what is killing mankind other than the lack of reproduction?
Lack of reproduction and abortion and all of that. All of these.
I was going to get to abortion, but I'm just saying that was one of them. Where if we're not reproducing, then there's not going to be anything left. And, from the church, because some of the churches believe in, accepting, in abortion, same-sex marriages and all of that.
Right.
But that's causing a decrease in the population and the extinction of mankind. I mean, you can be upset if you want to, but that's a true fact.
Oh, I know. And like I said, there's so many other things. And we do know that everything that we've been talking about tonight matters. It's important. And we have to dig a little deeper, and we may have to revisit this in a different realm, because there is the spiritual side, and I'm sure we can go deeper in
right go on the spiritual side,
and there's a lot there.
You can hit the war side. I mean, that's one of the biggest things,
right?
War.
So that's what I was going to say. So there's so many other things I had listed in crime and guns and etc. Systems that's in place to keep certain people down, and
the
culture,
medication system.
Right.
I mean, we got to talk about medication. Medication is one of them.
Oh man,
that's population control.
Crippling our society.
Yes.
Next time we come, we might all be robots by the time we talk about this again.
Well, who knows? Because what did they say? They were predicting that it would everything would be wrapping up because of the climate change and all of this craziness that's going on with our weather and the changes that the atmosphere is going through. So somebody predicted about 10 years, and so that would leave us, and that was a while ago, so that would leave us about 3 or 4 more years, if y'all want to believe it. I'll take whatever y'all giving away, y'all monies and jewelry, whatever y'all want to give away. I don't believe it. We're going to still be right here.
Underground.
I'm going underground.
I'm ready for where the good Lord wants to take me.
I was going to say, only the Lord knows for sure.
Only the Lord knows for sure.
So listen, we got to get out of here. Good conversation. Amazing people as always. But I want to leave you with this as we exit tonight. Let us encourage society to embrace the uncertainty of the task that comes with curbing global warming. Let us, from form new narratives about what is important to us, whether through collective action of social movements, talking to clients at the beauty and barber salon, or educating our youth at home or at church. It's up to all of us to make make things new and to improve our paths towards a healthy and sustainable future. We can do it if we believe and we stand together. And as we always say when we exit,
Always protect your mind.
This is Extinction Voice.